SVSU rep at the joint Vermont School Board Association and Vermont Superintendent Association meeting this coming weekend.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, I think I believe from Susan and Leon. Any discussion? Sorry, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? And then any abstentions? All right, so calling the meeting to order now. It's 5:33 p.m. First up on the agenda is item 1, which is public comments. Do we have any comment, any public members of the public wishing to speak? Please raise your hand if you're on Zoom, or if you're in the room, let us know. I'm not seeing any. Is anybody, just to make sure, is anybody else?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any hand from anybody here electronically.
Okay. All right, moving into item 2 on the agenda, finance. We have the treasurer's report. Can we get a motion to accept?
I don't think there was a treasurer's report posted. I didn't see it. I looked before the meeting.
To be posted, was it not?
It was not in the packet, and I didn't see it anywhere else that I could find it, so.
So we must not have it yet from the treasurer.
Okay, so we can move to item 3, operations. And it looks like there wasn't anything on the agenda for item number 3.
No, there's not.
And that would be the same for item 4, policies.
They did not meet this month.
Okay. So moving through the agenda quickly, we know you have a drive to make, Leon. Item 5 on the agenda, the consent agenda, which includes minutes, warrants, leave of absence, retirements, resignations, and nominations. And I believe there was a motion.
I'll second it.
Who that.
Somebody moved it and I'm seconding it.
And
I'll
any
second.
Okay, Ray's gonna second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? And any abstentions? Excellent, thank you. Item 6 on the agenda, superintendent's report. We have 2 areas to cover: recovery pillar 3, academic achievement, and summer recovery.
We have Dr. Kate Abbott and Assistant Superintendent Laura Boudreau, who are going to address the first part of that report, pillars of recovery.
Great. Well, this is the final round of our presentation that we're required to do as part of our recovery plan. And SVSU is the final presentation that we do here. There we go. And so we hope that you all wear your SVSU hat when you think about this presentation, because I know that many of you have had this through the lens of your specific district. But again, this is meant to be an SVSU presentation. So as a reminder, we've provided the acronyms that are used linked to the work of social, emotional health, and well-being. The 2 new ones are the last 2 on the list: Family Emergency Service, which we refer to internally as FES, and the Psychiatric Urgent Care for Kids, which we refer to internally as PUC, and are provided through our partner with United Counseling Service. Our recovery work can be found on the SVSU website, right on the home page, and there is a button where feedback can be provided. The work that our district does around social, emotional health, and well-being is linked to the 5 transferable skills: clear and effective communication, creative and practical problem solving, informed and integrative thinking, responsible and involved citizenship, and self-direction. At each individual meeting, there was a snapshot of data presented. At the SVSU meeting, we are only giving you the current SVSU intake count. I am currently the SVSU homeless liaison, and I just, again, want to point out to everyone the range continues to grow. And so you can see for this year, August through October 6th, the intakes that I've been asked to do to support protections under the McKinney-Vento law are at the elementary, pre-K to elementary level 33, and at the secondary level 26, and those are district-wide numbers. If you continue to move through this presentation, again, we want to highlight for you what are we using, what kind of instructional strategies are we using to support all students. And we are only highlighting things that are new and different this year, but we do always want to draw your attention to the funding source that's being used to help implement these resources. And so we want to highlight at our district middle schools and high schools that now second step is being used universally for our middle school students. So it is a primary resource. And at the high school level, all of our high school students are using School Connect, and that is something we were able to secure through ESSER funding, which also provided the professional learning for staff in both buildings. And along those lines, we also want to make sure that we're providing our staff with training. And so we're not straying too far for where we started. We offer professional learning on a rotating basis. So trauma training is offered as a graduate level class, and Trauma 2 is offered biannually to build infrastructure. And what we're really fostering at the district level is representation from those trainings that represent every building that are part of a trauma cohort and are mentored through our contracted service provider, Dave Melnick, who is funded through ESSER. Under restorative practices, again, we have a continued partnership with our contracted service provider, John Kidda. And what's new this year is that all administrators are part of a 5-part restorative practices training, and again, that is supported through ESSER. We continue to provide trainings in nonviolent crisis intervention, zones of regulation, and then trauma drumming, which is something that's become really unique to the SVSU. We have pockets of expertise building in almost all of our settings, and Steve Ferris, our contracted service provider through title money, continues to come back annually because trauma drumming can be used as a whole class resource, and now we're finding it being used in individual classrooms as part of his advisory or morning meeting. And so you can see that classroom teachers have been added as a resource for this training. So as we look at our next couple of pages, we have tier 3 and 4 supports. Tier 3 and 4 are offered to a very select few children. And what we've noticed is the vast majority of our learners since the pandemic are doing quite well. They're well adjusted, but then there are a very small but persistent percentage of a few learners that need a lot more care in order to access their education. New this year, we have the mental health services as part of our partner program. UCS, which is our designated agency, has opened an intensive outpatient program for elementary and middle school students for them to be able to access partial day intensive outpatient clinical services here in town. So they are trying to reduce the need for more inpatient supports by offering this additional layer of mental health services in our community. Our CPI and crisis consult team are consistent from last year. We have a number of board certified behavioral analysts. Each building has at least one assigned to help us with those numbers of handful of learners that really need intensive interventions for behavior. And then we have our tier 4 placement grids. This year, our Ideals program, which is a program for children with complex disabilities, has moved at our elementary level from Molly Stark to Monument School.
That move was predicated by the need for an additional classroom for learners with autism spectrum-related disabilities. So we added a class this year for children entering kindergarten with autism spectrum, and we do expect to see another increase again next year, given our partner, the Early Intervention Program, has identified. Currently, they were at a meeting this week, they said well over 10 learners in the birth to 2 range that have autism. So we're seeing growing incidences of children that do have autism spectrum in our community. And then the New England Center for Children classroom that we added at Molly Stark is a cooperative classroom model. So we currently have 7 partner classrooms where the staff, the teachers, and the BCBAs are hired by the New England Center for Children, and the paraprofessionals are provided by the district. This new classroom that we've opened, our 8th classroom, is actually a district-run program that has a contract, cooperative classroom contract for mentoring by the NECT program. So we have hired the teacher here and are providing her with professional learning to offer this structured support for our learners coming in.
The last part of what you are receiving tonight is the whole district picture of the staffing linked to behavior and social emotional learning. And again, it's to just give you a snapshot of what it looks like with an SVSU district perspective. Again, hopefully paying close attention to the funding sources for this, the work that's happening, and it gives you a sense across the district where the focus needs to be. You'll also notice that we have additional resources that are new. We were able, with our Title IV money, to secure a second SVSU behavior and social emotional coach, in addition to our current social emotional behavior coach, Jessa Ordway. That's part of Title IV funding. And then we also have a new restorative case manager, part of our partnership with the Center for Restorative Justice, which is also Title IV funded. It was advocated for by our secondary principals in partnership with CRJ. So we are using grant money this year to contract with the Center for Restorative Justice to provide this on-site resource. And so the goal tonight was just to give you a little overview of where we currently are after year 3 of recovery, and to give you a sense of just some updates that have changed and some things to think about as you move into budget season. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very informative.
Thank you. And then the next part, we have Director of Curriculum Instruction Assessment, Melissa Senical, is here to present on summer recovery.
So I'm very excited to share the summer recovery, and because basically I had to be the cheerleader for a lot of people who are out on the field doing a lot of work. You're going to see a lot of names. And this is big picture. What have we been doing? What have we built? What do we think that we want to have ESSER funding continue into for next year? And then planning, of course, for when ESSER funding is done and what shall be done with this, because we've seen some pretty great results from what the staff has developed. So here's what the staff has developed, you guys asked. I would have to stop right now on this one to just say the names. This whole presentation would not be possible without Kristen Jeske, who is one of the recovery coordinators at the elementary level. She is a big part of gathering this all together to kind of give you a big, wonderful picture of the hard work that our staff and our students and families have done this summer. Andrew Labarge also assisted at the elementary level. There were great coordinators. In the middle school level, Kelly Brooks. At the high school, MAU, Sharon Rancourt. Arlington and Fisher, I think Rachel Boisvert. We had 2 clubs, which were really unique that we're going to go into. One was at Monument with Paula Salazar and Gabriella Watson and Shasberry.
We also have a lit club that we'll go into later that Kelly Brooks coordinated at the middle school. And one moment of kind of also saying that we have, you can talk a little bit more, Laura, about this, but we have a SVSU sponsored classes for building administrators within our school culture. And 2 of those names are in that program. And that's Kristen and Gabrielle. So I think it's really good kudos that we're trying to build leadership, have them practice, and get that leadership through the college programs. So again, these people integral to making it all happen. So what happened at the elementary level is 135 students, the most we've ever had, were served this past summer from the communities of Bennington, Pownell, Shasberry, and even though it's not listed, we had students from Woodford. Andrew and Kristen coordinated this with a combination of 41 staff members and 2 nurses. At Bennington Elementary, one of the locations, 68 students were served. 15 teachers said that they would work during the summer during this, with 7 support staff. The focus of subjects was reading, math, science, social, emotional, and music. Boy, did they love that addition of music. The attendance was very, very high. Sorry. That's okay. I can keep going with this. It's good. You're good. And additionally, the other thing that was added by the coordinators was a visit from the Vermont History Museum, where they brought in predator birds, which the kids absolutely loved, and the staff did too. At another elementary location is Pownell. 26 learners were served, the most we've ever had from Pownell in the last couple of years of doing this, with 7 teachers and 3 support staff. Same subjects taught, same high attendance rates, same very high attendance rates, and the presentation. At Shasberry, was 23 students, 9 teachers, 2 support staff. They added in arts and crafts and science. Again, it was the availability of the teachers on staff, very high attendance rates, and 30 students had perfect attendance. They were very proud of that. 30%, sorry. What they wanted to make sure that you knew about the SVU ESD reading program is that they served rising first graders, okay, in a first grade, and then as many as we could, again, looking at the numbers of staff that were available, and we were able to get all the way up to rising 4th graders this year, which was really remarkable. At the middle school, 49 students were served. And again, a very high rate of teachers coming back and support staff saying that they would serve. There's more for the middle school, so we can keep going. Because Kelly Brooks had a lot to say about it. So he had very high attendance and running through the month of July. Keep going. He's got more. He's got 7 different field trips that he wanted to tell you about that he had that they brought the students on, he and his staff. And then he gave some pictures. And there's Pete LaFlamme. And some more pictures of some great field trips. But what I want to stop right now, not to be the curriculum instruction director, but I think it's really amazing that for all of these areas, the number of students that have instructional based on need in all of those 4 contents, those are the number of students that were served in all of those areas throughout the summer. But I don't know if that's really the stat that's quite as impressive as the next stat. Yeah. 100% achieved the proficiencies that they came to the summer for. Every single one of those students who came for proficiency achieved that proficiency that they came for. Pretty amazing. He was pretty happy about that, and his staff should be too.
That's awesome.
Isn't it? In addition, Kelly Brooks also has a lit club that served 25 students, and it is meant to read, and they had books to support that academic growth in the area of literacy. It's a high attendance rate for that particular club. At high school, I'd like to thank Sharon Rancourt and the staff there, 14 teachers,
100 students participated at the high school. And the attendance rates, again, really, really high. At Fisher Elementary and Arlington Memorial, they also have 50+ students, 10 staff, and they gave some examples of how they tracked the progress for math and literacy. At Monument, the club that I spoke of was headed by Paula Salazar, coordinating 15 students, where the focus was social emotional well-being. There was 3 teachers and 1 support staff, and they followed the same schedule as the rest of the kiddos in Bennington. Some of the things that they worked on were cooperative games, arts and crafts, outdoor fun, mindfulness, and board games and cards and board games. They're also tracking to see, as the students are coming back into school, if they're seeing some changes in social, emotional, behavior. So they are looking at that. At Shaftesbury Elementary, the other club by Gabby Watson was a STEAM club, and it ran for a total of 40 different students participated. And I think that the exciting thing for me was to go up and Gabby was the one teacher. She had 3 support staff, but she also had a lot of our secondary students come back to Shaftesbury and help with this club. And when I was there on a couple days to see that interaction of those secondary students coming and helping their peers, it was really exciting. They were super engaged. And so my last slide is just about the big picture of how we see if it's successful or not. And as we're going forward, we want to make sure the signs of a great summer learning program are there. Is it going to broaden horizons? Is it going to help build their mastery? Is it going to foster that cooperative learning? And those small groups do help with that. Does it last at least a month? Does it promote healthy habits? And does it include a wide range of fun and engaging activities? And I personally think that last one, those coordinators hit it out of the park this past summer with trying to make it as fun and engaging while also tracking progress for learning, academic learning. So I just give kudos to those coordinators, the staff members that served, that were there, the principals who were in their buildings also lending a hand and helping out, and the families that send their kids, because I think that they're reaping the rewards. So I thank you for letting me present to you, but really this was lifted by people who are in the room, and they should be very proud of what they have done last summer and are very excited about this coming up summer, which seems very strange because we don't even have snow out yet, but they're already thinking about it. So thanks for letting me share with you, and I'm glad that you asked about what's been going on in the summer, because it's really great to see what the staff is doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for sharing. I know my daughter was one of the ones who came back and helped in Shaftesbury after she had just graduated from Shaftesbury Elementary. And I think it was really great for her because she kept her mind. I mean, she wasn't there for the whole time. She was there for a week, but she was keeping her mind engaged as she was there helping. And certainly these kids who get a month of that in the middle of the summer, especially coming in the heels of everything that was thrown at them over the previous years with the pandemic. I've heard a number of bits of feedback that talks about how that program was really helpful for a lot of kiddos. And I think that it was a really well done presentation, and thanks for sharing.
I only have 2 other items in my report. One is Monday, we opened negotiations with the Teachers Association of the SVSU other than Arlington. There's 2 separate unions. There's a union that represents Arlington, and then there's a union that represents the remainder. There was just one union. I mean, there were 2 unions up until July 1st. There was both affiliated with Vermont NEA and the National NEA. One represented support staff and one represented teachers. They merged on July 1, so we are simultaneously negotiating both contracts. They have separate contracts with the same union, or we're attempting to do that. Well, I know our attorney has some concerns with that. I should point out that Arlington did settle with their staff, both support staff and teachers, a 2-year contract starting this year, a 7% increase for this year and a 6% increase for the second year. So we just met, we did the ground rules, and then we're meeting again this Monday afternoon to begin the presentation of proposals from both sides. I would ideally love to be done negotiations by the time that we have to submit budgets. I'm gonna stick to trying to get that done. And we're committing to Mondays. So the other item that I had is your November meeting. I tried this at the MAU meeting right before this, but I had the wrong meeting. Your November meeting falls the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. So Renee would like to make that, I should say your Director of Finance would like to make that a budget meeting. She hopes to have the first draft because as you know, we need to get the SU budget done first, so then we can put that assessment in everyone else's budget. So I would recommend that we move the next meeting to Tuesday. I said Monday or Tuesday, but that Monday may get eaten up by negotiation. So I don't know if the Tuesday before Thanksgiving is available, or we can go to the Wednesday after, because it is a 5 Wednesday month in November. So that Wednesday would be available, whatever the board thinks would be best.
So that's Tuesday, November 21st.
Yes. Or Wednesday, November 29th.
Oh, or the 29th. Okay.
Yeah, but she may want the 21st. You know, if we could meet the 21st, I think she would like to get that done. At least get a first draft of the budget to you.
I'm not available at all the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm fine with doing it the 29th. That keep it on Wednesday.
Celeste, we'll miss you, but is there anybody else that, I mean, in an effort to not have weeks go by,
Yeah,
is there anybody?
Can I just announce that I am no longer available the 21st either? So I should watch my calendar. What I could do the Monday, which though I'll probably, so the 21st will not work for me, but I could send a representative, but yeah. Yep, I have another meeting on the same night. Do you want to try for Wednesday, the 29th, Scott?
Sounds like that's probably the better option.
Yeah.
I'd vote for Wednesday, the 29th.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim, could I add the last little part about title that I had to add for tonight under your report?
Laura, and I have in my notes that I'm supposed to say that, so
No,
thank
it's okay.
It's Ina here remotely and look at
Oh, no, it's totally fine. Yeah, no, it's okay. I just have to, I'm required to annually give you an update that all 10 schools had their Title I school-wide meeting, and a total of 118 family and community members attended different meetings throughout the district during the fall. Each agenda included items linked to the school family compact, data review shared at each board meeting, parent rights linked to Title I, school level goals, and there was an open discussion to answer any questions, solicit feedback, and brainstorm ideas. All the meetings ended with me saying, and I do have witnesses in the room, they said, does anyone in the room, would you like to provide any feedback for SVSU policy 5010, parent engagement, because I would be happy to bring that back to the policy committee. And so I asked that annually. I didn't receive any feedback around the particular policy, but families and community members raised ideas for family engagement activities about linked to arts and crafts, music events. A laser show was a popular topic. They'd like to see drumming and theater opportunities, book clubs, literacy nights, gardening activities, barbecues, cooking events, community cleanup day, winter exercise events, basketball, and snowshoeing. There was an ask to have opportunities to learn more about updates to the Title IX policy, and there were questions around how it's determined how title money is spent. And so again, my responsibility is to annually report to you that I did offer opportunities for parents to meet with parents and collect feedback. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving into Chair's report. I just wanted to let the board know, Nicole Whalen and I have been meeting now twice with Superintendent Colquhoun on goals for the next review cycle. And with that, we've been talking about a number of topics, some of which are things that are the day-to-day of the role of superintendent, and some of which are things that we are seeing that or large things that we've got in front of us as a board to handle, and that will require leadership, superintendent leadership as well as board leadership to work through. Briefly, I'll just touch on a few of those. The big three, I think, that we're really working toward, and that's having to do with student and staff safety. The second one would be having to do with the continuation of any necessary positions or programs that are currently being funded by ESSER is a big one. They're all big ones. And then the last one is having to do with the SU structure that has changed pretty dramatically over the last few years and is still being operated in the way that it had been kind of all along. And so those will be additional things that we're working with Superintendent Colquhoun on to address and make sure that we are putting ourselves in the best position as a district moving forward to support young learning here in our region. So there'll be more to come on all of that, but just wanted to let you know that we are actively working on these things, and we have another meeting next week, which will hopefully finalize all of it, and we'll be able to come back to the board with more details. And that exhausts my chair's report for the night. The next item on the agenda is any other business? And then item 9 on the agenda is just an FYI, this SVSU budget status report. And last on the agenda would be a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Have a good evening, everyone.